So today's video, the main gist of it is adding soil to potted plants. It does wonders for your plants. Welcome again to my channel, Sana Trini for Life. If you are into kitchen gardening, this channel is going to hold your interest. Over the years, I have done a lot of research, reading books, looking at YouTube videos, speaking to farmers, you name it, I did it. I also have quite a background in woodworking, so I know when it comes to making things like trellis, I could be quite creative. Also, I do a lot of cooking videos. I am no fantastic chef by any means, but I do possess a lot of kitchen management skills. I attended the Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality Training Institute, and the education that I received there definitely has benefited me quite a lot. And I am going to be sharing that information with you. So after introducing the seeds into the garden yesterday to the 30 birds, I wanted to determine if the seeds were actually going to be functional, if they were going to be effective. In order to conduct this experiment correctly, I then proceeded to clip off all the bad leaves that the birds had already eaten. I wanted to see if any damage would have been done further after introducing the seeds. This was in my favor. My mom came, she hung up some curtains or some bed sheets, and I was able to lay in the hammock and observe if the birds were coming. To my delight, not a bird came. There was a pak choy that I did not put a CD by, and as you could see here, the pak choy was affected. So today I just simply placed a CD right next to that pak choy. We're going to see how that goes. Also, I have strategically placed CDs at fence level to the top of the fence, and I'm hoping it's going to deter the birds from even sitting on the fence or the post. Since I've done that this morning, I have not seen any birds. However, I am quite active in the garden right now, wetting and whatnot. I am doing some composting, and we will see how that goes. I will go more and more into detail as time goes along. I'm not too pleased with how the seedlings are coming. I want to believe that I did not get good seedlings. Now, if you are embarking on a kitchen garden, I will give you a piece of advice. Do not buy seedlings if you don't find they are looking strong and healthy. Try to avoid leggy seedlings, meaning to say if they're over tall and they are a bit droopy, these seedlings did not get time to harden off, meaning to say that most likely they were kept in a very dark place, not enough sunlight, and with that, the nature of the plant is to seek sunlight. Also, you may purchase seedlings that already have fungus issues. It's a good decision to just simply pull out these seedlings, discard of them, throw them into your compost bin, or place them into a bag because you don't want to contaminate the rest of your garden, and just simply go and repurchase new seedlings. You need to purchase your seedlings from places where the people have the seedlings actually already sunning out. Alright, so as you can see, these plants are really wilting. We need to get them out of this hot sun. We're going to put them in a more shaded area, which I had them before, but the birds were terrorizing me. So I'm going to hang up a CD next to these and see if it helps. This is definitely a well-shaded area, especially from the harsh 11 o'clock sun. This is going to help with the midday sun. After about 15 minutes, allowing the plant to acclimatize to the cool area, a good idea to rehydrate them, and we will come back and see how these plants look after 1 hour. And we're not going to waste this water. We're preparing these pak choy for the fierce midday heat. All the things like lettuce, I am in a very good location to observe if these birds are coming. I'll be sitting here for the next 15-20 minutes to see if the CDs are really deterring the birds away. Definitely thinking about replacing these guys. Thinking about replacing them. And as a matter of fact, if I do pull them out, I'm going to enrich this soil. This soil is a bit heavy. I need to get some perlite and some compost, mix this in, and probably we could utilize this entire bed for pak choy. Now, don't go planting all your pak choy all at once. If you'll notice, I have 2 different stages of pak choy here. Previously, I had 6 pak choy growing. A week later, I introduced another 6. A week from now, maybe we could plant 6 more pak choy here. So that way, you're always going to have pak choy to your disposal. You don't want to plant all your pak choy right away, unless you have a freezer and you're going to chop up and freeze them, or you want to share with your neighbors and friends and family. So you could think about doing crop rotation. Instead of planting 6 tomato plants all at once, maybe you could consider planting 2 tomato plants. 2 tomato plants is going to give you a lot of tomatoes. And while you have 2 in the ground or 2 in pots, you could establish, maybe 2 weeks later, establish 2 more tomato plants in a pot. And that way, you're always going to have crops throughout the year. It's a matter of rotation. Always have some transplant pots. Get new seedlings ever so often. Establish them. And that way, by the time a tomato plant finish its bearing cycle, you have a new plant coming up already in the flowering stage. This Chorai Bhaji is really doing very, very good. Believe it or not, this baby ain't even make 3 weeks as yet. What I would like to do today is reintroduce some more soil into this. Of course, the soil has settled over the last 2-3 weeks, so it's time to add some soil on top of this. Now, what this is going to do for the plant is a couple of things. Number one, if you're going to be adding new materials into this, obviously we add in nutrients here for this plant to thrive well. Also, it's going to act as a mulch. So this soil at this level here is now going to be always nice and damp. There's always going to be moisture here, and this layer that you're adding is the layer that is now going to do the drying out. So today I'll be showing you all how we'll be approaching this. What we'll do is we'll get this plant looking good, pinch off whatever leaves looks affected, and add in the soil. So today's video, the main gist of it is adding soil to potted plants. It does wonders for your plants. A lot of people would not be home to tend to something as delicate as a pak choy, which needs a lot of water throughout the day. A lot of people will be working. So what I am going to do here is give these pak choy a really good wetting, and then leave them in the sunlight a bit, and I am going to move it to a shaded area. later on in the afternoon, at maybe around 4:30, 5, I will place it back in the sunlight, just like if you went to work, and we will see how these pak choy do. So during the day, it's going to be in a shaded area. So water in well. Enough water to take it throughout the day. That way is west. So by the time the sunlight comes overhead, they're gonna be cool. So we'll get some more footage of this later on. But right now, it's getting the morning light. So we are ready to add the soil to this chorai bhaji here. And one of the first things we're gonna do, as you can see, there are leaves to harvest. And we're going to show you how to cut back this plant. With me is my sister, and she is going to do the pruning for us. So as you can see right here, there is fresh growth coming out. So that's going to encourage those leaves to develop. This is the second time we cut in from this chorai bhaji. Believe it or not, on Saturday we harvested, and we already have enough here to make our omelette, believe it or not.
You think I should do more?
Yes, man, definitely. Right, so just up. And look at that. From plants, one is approaching 3 weeks, one is approaching 2 weeks. And this is the second cutting. And these plants, I understand Iba brought seeds from Tobago. So these are what, descendants? I picked this by, she brought these flowers all the way from Tobago by Auntie Linda. So big up to Auntie Linda and Uncle Fitzy. And here we have the soil that I purchased. We have a mixing pot, and this is some old potted soil, which, as you can see, it is dead. Right? So what we are going to do is we're going to mix the two, because on one hand here, there's a lot of perlite in here, a lot of sharp sand, and in this case here, this is way too compact. It's too heavy. So usually you get some of the soil, you clump it up, and then you press in. See, that's not breaking apart. Put this into a pot. When this gets wet and it dries back out, it's going to become hard as a cake. So the perfect mixture for me is 1 part of this soil to 2 parts of this loose soil. So let's get some soil in here. Of course, you could eyeball this, but for people who are new to gardening, this is how you could go about it. Now, perlite does a lot for the soil. It helps keep the soil loose. Observe how sticky this is. A wheelbarrow makes a perfect mixing trough. I love to get my hands into it. And the thing about it is perlite does wonders for years in your soil. So we're going in here with this. Thanks, Lita. And we're going to mix. What I was telling them is that the soil that I purchased, it's too heavy, it's too wet, so that's going to become very hard. And if I had compost, actual compost, I would have added like about a pot of that. Okay, so I'm going to make the soil a bit wet to give you all a demonstration. Okay, so we're going to clump this up. Now I want to be fair, that mixture was very, very wet. Okay, so we're going to do the test again. Compact this really well, and then you take your thumb, see how that breaks apart, and it could still do with some loosening up.
And you mustn't have clothes on the line.
No, you shouldn't have clothes on the line. Okay. Now, if there was mulch here before, something like dry tree bark or tree chips, before you do this, you definitely should move that. You don't want to have too much of carbon underneath the soil because it's going to take a lot of nitrogen to break that down. In this case, I don't really have much stuff, but if there were pieces of wood like this, you remove it. And we're beginning to add. That's about it. Now, a very good thing that you could do here to even help you cut back on watering is the introduction of a mulch over this, such as grass clippings or some sort of material such as wood shavings, but you're not mixing that into the soil. That's just to create a blanket over this. You could even, believe it or not, you could use flat pebbles, right? But of course, you'll have to keep removing it every time you want to add soil. So it will be better to add things such as grass clippings is really good. Or you can even shred up newspapers and rest above this soil. And that's going to help the soil retain its moisture. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want to thank my sister Liba for joining me and showing us how to go about pruning our Chorai Baji. And we will see how these babies do over the next week. Thanks for the support, guys, and hope you really enjoyed.